They zip-tied me on my own front lawn like I was some drunk trespasser who wandered in off the highway, face in the dirt, knee in my back, while my 10-year-old daughter stood at the window clutching her stuffed bunny and screaming for me to get up, and the woman who called the cops stood there in designer sneakers telling them I didn't live here. Yeah, that happened. And the craziest part? By the time the sun came up the next morning, she was the one standing on land that legally belonged to me. Let me back up a sec. My name's Daniel Carter. I'm a carpenter by trade, widower by circumstance, and father to a little girl named Chloe, who still sleeps with the same worn-out bunny her mom gave her when she turned 5. My wife Emily passed 2 years ago, cancer that moved fast and mean, 9 months from diagnosis to goodbye. Hospitals, bills, whispered promises in dark rooms. You know how grief is. It doesn't crash through the door. It sits in the quiet corners and waits. The only thing that stayed steady through all of it was the land. 23 acres my grandfather bought after coming home from Vietnam. He used to say, land is roots. You own it, no one moves you. I didn't really understand that until I had a child who needed anchoring. Our farmhouse isn't impressive. White siding, porch swing that squeaks like it's gossiping, gravel driveway that spits dust when you turn in too fast. But it's ours. Always was. 6 months ago, though, everything changed. They built the subdivision around us like we were a stubborn tree they couldn't cut down. Fresh pavement, identical mailboxes, lawns trimmed like military haircuts. Big SUVs, coordinated wreaths, a neighborhood Facebook page before the grass even grew in. Then came the HOA. And then came Victoria Langford. Perfect hair, perfect posture, the kind of smile that never reaches the eyes. She introduced herself like she expected applause. The first time she approached me, Chloe and I were planting wildflowers along the fence, something Emily always wanted to do. Dirt on Chloe's cheeks, sun in her hair, it was one of those rare light moments. Then I heard tires on gravel. Victoria rolled up slow, window sliding down like a villain reveal in a bad movie. You know this area has standards, she said, looking past me like I was a stain. I told her calmly this land predates her development. Not in the HOA. Not subject to her rules. She didn't argue. Didn't even blink. We'll see, she said. And that wasn't a threat. It was a promise. After that, it started small. Orange violation sticker slapped across my truck window. Unsightly vehicle. Letters taped to my door about non-approved garden features, meaning my daughter's flowers for her dead mother. Trash bags dumped at our gate. Cones blocking my driveway. Comments online calling me an occupant instead of homeowner. But the moment something inside me shifted wasn't the sticker. It was the playground. Chloe was on the swings, finally laughing again, when a board member, tall guy with too much authority in his voice, told her she didn't belong there. She's not part of this community. She froze, lip trembling. When she asked me later, Dad, did I do something wrong? Something in my chest cracked. Then came the CPS call. A report claiming unsafe conditions. Neglect. Anonymous, of course. They didn't just want me gone. They wanted leverage. That night, after Chloe fell asleep in my bed because she was scared someone might make us leave, I pulled out an envelope Emily wrote near the end. Her handwriting shaky. Protect her. Protect our roots. I stared at those words until the grief turned into something harder. Not rage. Resolve. The next morning, I went to the county recorder's office. I asked for every document tied to my parcel and theirs. Deeds, surveys, subdivision filings. And that's when I saw it. Their walking trail, their precious landscaped common area, crept several feet onto my land. Not an accident. A quiet line shift in newer filings. Encroachment. But that wasn't the twist. The twist was stamped across the developer's file in bold red letters. Default. They'd financed the development. Failed to pay. A lien was placed. The bank held the debt. Whoever owned that lien held the leverage over the common land. Meaning the HOA's precious sidewalks, clubhouse, playground weren't fully theirs. They were collateral. I called my old guard buddy Mark, paralegal now. You're telling me, he said slowly, if you buy that lien, you become the successor landholder? That's exactly what I'm telling you. 3 days later, with the help of an attorney named Rachel Hayes, sharp, calm, the kind of woman who doesn't waste words, I wired every dollar I had saved. College fund. Emergency cushion. Everything. It hurt. But watching my daughter feel unsafe hurt worse. The firm signed. The lien transferred. County stamped it. And just like that, quietly, legally, I became the successor land rights holder over the entire development. I didn't celebrate. I stood at my window that night looking at rooftops glowing under streetlights. They thought I was the trespasser. They were standing on land tied to my signature. 2 days later, the lien auction finalized at the courthouse. Victoria showed up in a white suit like she was attending a ribbon cutting. Cameras, reporters, nervous homeowners filling the room. Minimum qualifying bid matched the outstanding lien. I didn't need cash. I held the lien. Credit bid, I said. Gasps. Victoria objected, voice sharp, accusing. He's trying to destroy this community. The auctioneer didn't blink. Bidder holds lien rights. Credit bid valid. She tried to counterbid with HOA funds, until residents stood up waving bylaws. She doesn't have community approval. Murmurs turned to shouting. Someone else called out about invoices to her own real estate company. Conflict of interest. Fake maintenance fees. Screens lit up. Her confidence cracked. Any competing bid? The auctioneer asked. Silence. Gavel fell. Sold. The sound echoed like thunder. I walked forward calm. I now own all HOA-controlled land, I said evenly. Every road, every common area, the ground you've been standing on while calling me a trespasser. Then I added, quiet as a whisper, you called the cops on your landlord. The room went still. Victoria's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Tears filled her eyes, not from remorse, from collapse. Control slipping away. This isn't fair, she whispered. Funny thing about fairness, it feels different when you're not the one holding the clipboard. Within 24 hours, I filed dissolution paperwork. The HOA board? Gone. No more fines. No more threats. No more petty tyranny. And here's where the real twist came. I didn't evict anyone. I didn't charge ground rent. I didn't impose new rules. Instead, that Saturday, I invited everyone to the park beside Chloe's wildflowers. Folding chairs. Lemonade. No podium. We don't need fear to have order, I told them. We need respect. We formed a voluntary neighborhood association. No mandatory dues. No aesthetic policing. Just neighbors agreeing to talk to each other before calling authorities. Some cried. Some apologized. One older man walked up my driveway later that week, hat in hand. I'm sorry, he said. We listened to the wrong person. I didn't lecture him. Winning isn't about humiliation. It's about restoration. We started a scholarship fund in Emily's name, $10,000 to kick it off, for kids who want to study nursing or teaching. When I said her name out loud, my voice shook. But that wasn't weakness. That was roots. 3 months later, life feels simple again. Chloe laughs at the bus stop without checking who's watching. She plants new flowers in the garden and talks to her mom like she's just in the next room. The roads are the same. The houses are the same. But the air is different. No one whispers about who belongs. The other night, Chloe leaned against me watching the sunset paint the sky pink and gold. Do we get to stay forever now? She asked. Yeah, I said. We do. Because land remembers who protects it. Not the loud ones. Not the bullies. The ones who stand steady when it matters. So here's my question for you. If you'd been in my boots, would you have done the same? Would you have used the law to flip the power, or would you have walked away and sold? And if you've ever faced an HOA nightmare, or any bully who mistook authority for ownership, tell me your story. I want to hear it, because there are more of us than they think. And sometimes justice doesn't shout. Sometimes it just signs the paperwork and lets the gavel fall.